let's just be real for a second. Let's talk about how hard and how difficult it has been, especially this year. At the beginning of the year, I had COVID for 3 weeks. I was incredibly ill. I couldn't move. I almost died. But I used plant medicine to alleviate my symptoms while the virus was doing whatever it was designed to do. Then I had one of the best birthdays I probably have ever had in my life. And then I left the company that I helped to build to global status because it was a very toxic work situation. Then I attempted to date someone after 3 years of not dating anyone, and that ended horribly. And then I had gotten more sick than I was initially in January. And I went to the doctors, several of them, specialists, and no one could help me because no one knows really what the fuck is going on, truly. And so I was left with my own mortality, and I grew ever more sick, and I almost died again, twice. The first time I was attempting to try to take a walk, and I collapsed on the sidewalk. And surprisingly, no one saw me because no one called the police or an ambulance or anything. And I was probably unconscious for about 20 minutes. And when I woke up, I walked home. I cooled myself down. And then I started pouring electrolytes into my body in any form or fashion. And that saved my life that time. Aloe juice, Pedialyte, whatever. And then the second time in that bout was when I couldn't eat because my GI tract was so wrecked. I was not able to eat meat, and then turkey and chicken, and then fish, and then solid food. And I would go days without eating. And the only thing I lived off of was supplements. And a lot of weed. Because in order to get those supplements into my body without throwing them up, I had to smoke first so that it would disconnect my brain from my gut so that I couldn't feel the pain of anything going through my digestive tract, because anytime I did, it either felt like fire or razor blades ripping through my intestines. And so what was I going to do? And at that point, cannabis saved my life. Cannabis saved my life. plants saved my life. And so slowly I started to regain the ability to eat. I just went from drinking coconut water with different plant powders inside. That was all that I could handle at that point. And then, it was kind of like a baby, right? It was like a rebirth, right? I almost died, and then here we are, like the baby steps back to, where I was before, or something similar, or something better. Who knows, right? Like, this is a transformational process that has happened to me this year. So I couldn't eat. So I was just having coconut water. That was what I could have with plants, different types of plants. What did I have in there? Nutritional yeast, marine collagen, chlorella, spirulina, maca powder, wheatgrass, moringa. So, you put in whatever you want. So then, as I was able to regain my ability to ingest food, I went to smoothies. So I started blending up blueberries and kale and adding ginger to it, because ginger is a really powerful anti-inflammatory. And and then adding some bananas and dates, and just, you make it thicker, right, as you can eat more. And then I moved up to eating rice as my first solid, just like a baby, right? So I moved up to rice, and then I just kept moving up from there. And then as I was less sick, is whenever I received the inspiration to build my business and gave me the confidence to do the things that I'm doing with you. Then it's kind of, okay, so it's kind of like there's this TV show, What We Do in the Shadows. And this entire 4th season was about Colin essentially died. The energy vampire essentially died. And then, was reborn from his former self. And then he grows up, and then he kind of regains all of this knowledge. It's like the metaphor for the spiritual journey. Essentially is what it is. It took me the whole season to figure that out. Anyways, it's a good show. You should watch it. So I moved from there, right? It's watch that. It's helpful. So I moved, essentially, I moved up. And so as I moved up and I had more confidence in myself, once I could trust myself again, once I could move beyond the day before, one of my mantras is, I wake up every day. I wake up every day, and I strive to be better than I was the day before. And so that's whenever I really had to put that into place. And, say to myself, if I can just eat a little more than I did yesterday, or if I can work a little more than I did yesterday, slowly I started to regain the ability to interact with my kids more. I bought board games, and whenever I could sit up, we would play in my bed, board games in my bed. And it was fun. And that was the way that I could interact with them. And then slowly I could come downstairs, and slowly I could, go outside and take a walk, very, very short walk, maybe to the mailbox and back, and that's it. But, starting to do things with them. And once I could start to cook, then I started cooking, and then they would sit on the stairs and they would talk to me. Even those moments, right, that are so incredibly important. All areas of my life, I just said that if I just could be better than I was yesterday. And essentially, that's really how the entire transformation happened. And so once I started to re-emerge from society and people could see that I was ready to interact again, opportunities started just flying to me. And yeah, I had to learn a lot of new things, but it's been an amazing journey. I wouldn't trade it for the world. One of my very dear friends is Nikki Lawley, and we worked together on her business, Nikki and the Plant, and I couldn't be more proud because we were having a conversation one day, and I asked her, I said, you wouldn't trade that day for the world, would you? But for the life that you have now, going around and talking about how plants saved your life and how you've improved because of plants and how important they are in your life and just your everyday functioning and feeling a part of society and doing service and contributing in a really positive way. And she was like, of course not. As horrible as it was, I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't do it different. And so, I really think that it's that part of suffering, especially, that you have to hold on to. Because whenever you're in it, you don't see the blessing that's going to come on the other side of it, or what your mission or sole purpose in this world is. Because remember, we all, to some extent, most people believe that there's something that came before this and something that comes after this life on this planet. And that collective experience of humanity, it is really what makes us one, makes us whole, makes us part of the same, right? It's that. And so that collective consciousness is so powerful. And I think that is really where the vast majority of my own beliefs come from and have evolved in this process, is that real total awareness and understanding that, and from that experience of things happen for me and not to me, and moving myself away from victim consciousness. I think that that's really powerful in understanding. And then especially as we go through all of these times, it's everyone, it's all of us. We're all undergoing an evolutionary process. And it's hard, but if we support each other and we really come together, we can move through this difficult time much easier. It can be easier, but the perception has to change. There really has to be a mindset shift. Sorry. And if we have that mindset shift and we really come together and support one another, again, we can move through this process much easier. It doesn't have to be competition. No one has to feel lack because everyone feels supported by everyone else. Because like I said, opportunities have been flying at me, and that's the blessing on the other side. 6 months ago, well, since January, really, you couldn't tell me it was going to get better. You couldn't convince me. What, in the summer I almost took my life 3 times. I did a video about that. Moving through the dark night of the soul. In addition to me, the other 3 times I almost died from having COVID. So it was like 6 times this year that I faced death that I knew of. Just this year. So I really want you all to know that we really are in this together. That this time is not easy. This time is so hard for everyone. Everyone's struggling. Everyone is suffering. Ram Dass, he had an audio about how to survive through hell. And that really, really helped me. And weed. A lot of it really, really helped. And all the other plants too, of course. We are star beings. Everything on this planet converts energy from the sun. The sun is a star. We are beings from the stars. We have gold in our body, which is from stars. Elements come from stars. We are star beings. It's that simple. It's not magic. It's not weird. It's physics and common sense. So, if it wasn't for plants, we would all be dead. Anyways, that was my tangent. So, yeah, I don't think I'd trade any of that for the world, because I have more freedom, I have more independence, I have my own business, I have service to others. I'm rebuilding healthy, positive relationships with first myself and then others. I'm learning new things. I'm a completely different person than I was 6 months ago. 100% completely different. So my advice to you would be, you have to find your silver lining. You have to hang on real tight, and you have to do whatever it takes you to just hang on. You have to move through a process yourself. And then once you move through that process yourself, and you've healed yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit, all of it, once you've made that transition or that transformation, it will get better. So hang on. We're still in for a bumpy ride, unfortunately. That's why we need each other. Okay, people. You guys are awesome. Thanks for listening to me.